Hey everyone, welcome back. A while ago I did a poll on Instagram asking if I should continue the development of an RC car active suspension, and strangely enough the results were overwhelmingly yes. So I have to warn everyone that this is a pretty technical topic and that I'm not an expert on active suspension or the mathematics behind them, but I'll do my best to try to learn as we go. That said, I spent a considerable time researching what was needed to be able to make a serious attempt at designing and evaluating a small-scale active suspension. I determined that priority one was a controlled and instrumented test environment of some sort, so I created this rather unsightly miniature test rig. Starting out here at the base is a nice high torque motor with a belt drive, which turns an eccentric roller. The motor speed is controlled by an Arduino and a BTS 7960 motor driver. This particular eccentric has a center offset of 5 millimeters, which gives 10 millimeters of total vertical travel. This gray bit here is the actual test suspension. It consists of a pair of identical parallel double wishbones with a single wheel. I designed the suspension geometry and consequently the kinematics to be as simple as possible so I didn't have to work through a lot of math. This red frame and platform represent the sprung mass or the body of the car and is mounted to a piece of linear rail that allows it to only move up and down. For initial testing purposes, I have a servo mounted on top of the platform that's just connected directly via linkage to the suspension arm. I've designed this whole platform to be as modular as possible so I can swap in a variety of different types of actuators, dampers, sensors, and weights in the future. The other big piece of this test rig is the actual instrumentation itself. First, I have an AS5600 magnetic absolute position encoder reading the angle of the eccentric shaft. As this spins, I get a value from 0 to 4095, which resets with each rotation. This value represents the angular position of the shaft, and tracking this over time, I can also calculate the speed of rotation. This sensor is extremely important because by knowing the angle of the eccentric with a little math, I can actually consistently calculate the exact vertical displacement of the eccentric. I also have another AS5600 mounted here, which is linked to the suspension arm. This allows me to measure the angular displacement of the suspension arm itself, and thus I can calculate the vertical position of the wheel. This sensor is going to be really useful for characterizing the response time of actuators, which just means I can measure how long the actuator takes to move to a commanded position. I've already found this to be extremely important for tuning the servo actuator, which is definitely not anywhere near the speeds that it's advertised to be. Then on top of all this, I have an MPU 6050 6-axis inertial measurement unit. This has an accelerometer inside that can measure the vertical acceleration of the platform, which represents the sprung mass of the car. I was actually surprised, given the bargain nature of the MPU 6050, just how many research papers out there use this sensor on their test rigs. This last sensor here is something I hope to use in the future. This is a VL6180X laser time of flight distance sensor. This little module has a tiny laser emitter and receptor that measures the distance an object is away from the sensor to within about a millimeter. Sadly, I had a lot of issues getting this sensor to work properly due to most of the Arduino libraries for this sensor not properly supporting the sensor's asynchronous continuous measurement mode. Without getting too technical, basically every time I was reading data from the sensor, the microcontroller had to stop and wait for 30 to 40 milliseconds while the sensor performed a measurement, which delayed all the other sensor data readings. But with some persistence, I finally found a library that got it working and reading around 45 to 50 hertz. Okay, let's get to the nitty-gritty of this, actually correlating all this sensor data. This is a plot from when I first pulled all the raw sensor data. You can see some trends, but generally it's kind of all over. Obviously, we're measuring all kinds of different things like angular position, accelerations, and distances. So I've applied some scaling factors, but you can still see clearly a lot of noise and that the readings are out of phase with each other, meaning the readings just aren't lined up with each other from a timing perspective. So let's start with the baseline first. The eccentric shaft encoder is a very nice low noise, high speed sensor. And using the aforementioned formula, I can easily calculate the vertical displacement of the eccentric. And when plotted, we end up with a nice sine wave. Now on to the VL6180X distance sensor. This sensor measures the distance to the eccentric, but at a much slower sample rate of around 50 Hertz, and each reading can be delayed by several milliseconds. The raw values we get from the sensor vary over a range from 19 to 30 millimeters, which is pretty close to the eccentric's 10 millimeters of movement. But when I plot this distance sensor data, you can see it's out of phase quite a bit from the encoder displacement. The majority of this phase shift is because the VL6180 is reading at a point 90 degrees prior to vertical on the eccentric. So we could take a look at how long it took the eccentric to travel that 90 degrees to reach vertical and shift the sensor data by that amount of time. On to the MPU6050. The accelerometer in the MPU6050 is a very fast sensor that could be sampled at 1 kilohertz or 1,000 times per second, but the accelerometer has very noisy data, and even after applying a fairly heavily weighted EMA filter, which in itself causes a phase shift, and using the built-in low-pass filter, it's still quite noisy. This is a problem I've had with the MPU6050 on the active suspension RC car that I initially built. I was hopeful that having the MPU6050 mounted on a single degree of freedom rig like this would allow for better tuning of the filters, but I think the reality is that this sensor is just kind of outdated for these purposes, and I'm going to investigate some better purpose-built accelerometers. I should note, I also plan on adding a sliding potentiometer attached to the platform, which should give me very accurate displacement data to correlate the accelerometer against. The reason I'm even trying to use an accelerometer is because there's not a lot of good ways to measure the movement of a sprung mass relative to the ground on a moving car. To make matters worse, an accelerometer measures acceleration. Going back to physics, acceleration is the second derivative of displacement. That's math speak for if we want vertical displacement from an accelerometer, we have to first add up all the acceleration readings over time, which gives us velocity. And then we have to add up all the velocity readings over time, and that finally gives us displacement. But having a finite number of readings introduces some drift. Enough techno-babble for this video. Let's do something cool. So the intro clip for this video shows the suspension accurately tracking the movements of the eccentric. This is being done with kinematics, meaning the controller isn't working as it would in a car, but rather a best case scenario to test an actuator's full range response time. We know from the angle of the eccentric, we can calculate the vertical position of the eccentric. Additionally, I've worked out the kinematics for the servo so that the microcontroller can position the wheel at any given vertical distance in millimeters. But because the servo can't move to a new position instantaneously, the servo will always be out of sync with the eccentric's vertical movement. So in comes the suspension encoder arm. With this feedback, we can create a function that minimizes the difference between the current eccentric vertical displacement and the current suspension vertical displacement by moving the servo sooner. The amount of time of this phase shift necessary to align the eccentric with the servo's movement helps to quantify the servo's responsiveness and speed. The end result is actually pretty amazing, and you can see what is possible with an active suspension. There's some slop in the mechanism, and obviously the speed of the servo isn't linear, but even without a shock or a spring, the wheel never leaves the surface of the eccentric, which is pretty cool. I'm really excited to have a test environment like this. As I mentioned, in future videos, we'll use this rig to test different actuators and suspension control techniques. I think we can do some really cool things. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for changes to this rig, or if there's anything that you guys want to see me test out. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and stay safe out there.